What is up, guys? It is your boy Royal Mech, one of the members of the Las Vegas Foundry. We are a TCG team. We play Vanguard, Cardfight Vanguard, Digimon. Some of the guys play Pokemon. Some of the guys play Magic. But we try to dabble in all. But this is about me and my channel. So, once again, I'm Royal Mech. How's it going? Today, if you've read the title, I have a Wargreymon deck list for you from my store champs that happened a few days ago. I got second place with this deck, so I am really happy for it, and we're just going to go ahead and get into the video. We're going to start with the eggs, and starting off, I do play 4 copies of the Coromon. This is the BT5 Coromon. We all agree this is probably the best Coromon in the game. What it does is it's inheritable as when a Greymon or Omnimon swings, you may draw a card. Best, honestly, the best egg we have. Can't really disagree with it. I don't think we'll ever get rid of the egg. We will usually add to it, but I don't think we'll ever get rid of this egg as the best egg until they present us with an egg that does better for the deck. Getting more cards is always good. And then lastly, I do run 5 eggs for this build, and it is going to be 1 copy of the BT9 Coromon. This definitely helped, being that it helped me have a higher number in regards to guarding and in regards to mirror matches, which I saw actually none, but it was there for that purpose alone, and for everybody else, it just was extra. Now on to the rookies. We're going to go 4 copies of the promo Agumon. He is just typical. During your turn, if your Greymon gains 2k DP, I can't wait for the one in BT14 that actually does 1 more extension where it adds Omnis. That's like the only downside to this one. It does not include Omnimon in the count, but it's still one of your best rookies that you always want to ride into. I never missed riding into this one on my first turn, so it was all good. After that, we have 4 copies of the BT12 Agumon. This is honestly one of the biggest lightsabers this deck ever gave us, because it digivolves off of Coromon for free. It may, if you want it to. It is a searcher with the on play ability of check top 4, add 1 Greymon or Omnimon, and add 1 Greymon or Omnimon and or a Tai Kamiya. Thus meaning you can search your tamers with this. You can search an Omni. You can even search Greymon, so you get it fits all your pieces. And then it has the inheritable. During all turns, your Greymons and your Omnimons gain an additional 1k DP. Then lastly, if you're not playing Agus, you're not doing it right. 4 copies of Agumon X. Really good card. Extender for your turn. Draw 1 on Evo because it's a 0 Evo on top of an Agumon. Then you get to do another 3-card search to look for X antibody pieces, being it an X Evo for your Greymon line, an actual piece of your Greymon line, or the actual X antibody. So, or the actual X antibody. So you would look for a Greymon, and then you would add the X antibody to hand. So you technically get 2 cards off of this. Name of the game is you try to get as much benefit as possible. So all the Agumon searchers literally maximize your potential there. On to the champions. I played 3 copies of Greymon, the security Greymon. He has the inheritable. It's a security +1. This really helps put committing the pressure. I don't think this will ever leave the deck until we get a comparable one that does the exact same thing, but has the special extension on all Agus. But if that happens, I think some things are going to freeze over. But really good card. I have no complaints. It did what it was supposed to do. It helped with the pressure. Next, 3 copies of the BT12 Greymon. Really good card. Digivolves on an Agumon. I get to play a tamer with the name Ty in it for free if I don't have a tamer. This camp comes up actually a lot in these matchups. In matchups for me, playing that early 3-drop Ty to become a blocker saves lives, especially with one of my matches being Commandramon. This my final round matchup being Commandramon. So it does a lot of work. I really appreciated it. This card. It also has the inheritable of during all turns, your Greymon or Omnimon gain 1,000 DP. This just makes your bigger blockers bigger. Then we go to the 3 copies of the original Greymon X. Digivolves on Greymons for free with the inheritable. If this would be destroyed or tucked away, tucked or bounced, you can just remove 2 Evo sources of the same level and keeps it on board. Greymon has to have their protections. No problems there. And then last but not least, the 1 copy of the Greymon X from BT11, the virus one that got hit to 1. Great card. It came up a lot. This card actually showed up a lot for me and actually got me over a couple matchups incredibly fast because I saw it in hand, but I had no other champ, so I just had to hard evo into it, call it a day. My opponent, one turn game in particular, my opponent put me to 3 after I put just a Agumon in raising and played a Tamer Ty, the 3-drop Tamer Ty to pass turn. This literally shut him out because he knew next turn, if I had the piece, he knew next turn, if he gave me 3, there was going to be a problem. It just happened to be so. I top decked off an Evo of this into the new Metal Gray, and from there I went all the way up, made a blocker, and turned it into a level 6 without any issue. Then even was able to make sure there was an X antibody there too to keep the protection. So it was just a fire ink outcome with matchup. No problems there. On to my ultimates. This is where things start going a little bit off kilter. First up, the traditional 4 of Metal Grays. For those wondering, yes, I do not have them in the double colored. I'll be working on those next. I do also play Vanguard, so I had to put buffing rarity to this deck a little bit to the side. Wargrey, you should always see as close to max rarity as possible. Outside of Black War pieces, I primarily focus on the vaccine side for all my max rarity. I do not max rarity any of the virus end. So, for the new Metal Gray that came out of BT12, you guys know it. All Greymon players love it. It has the ability raid, meaning on swing, redirect into the highest DP, DP Digimon that is unsuspended. So that does not mean, for those people who are trying to get around it, you literally need everybody suspended. Because as long as there's an unsuspended Digimon on your board, raid can go off and it will target the one that's standing. He then has the ability, when an attack target is switched, this does not happen once per turn, all turns. If the attack target is, at any time an attack target is switched while he is on the board, you may play a Tamer. With a 4-drop or lower Tamer, red or black. Pretty much meaning when you raid into this and you switch attack target, you get to play a 4-drop Tamer. That could be a Tai, that could be a Yuya, that could be another that could be the original Tai Tamer, the new Tai Tamer, or the Yuyas. And it just makes work wonderful. Then this also fixes another issue we had where this allows for anything with Greymon in the name to have, and Omnimon to have piercing. So this replaced that EX1 Metal Gray that everybody was running before for Greymon. because it offered piercing. Well, this offers piercing as well, but it offers piercing for everybody. Next up, I play only 2 copies of the BT9 Metal Gray. It is very simple. Digivolves off of a Metal Gray for free, and then if on Digivolve, gain security attack +1. But then if you have Metal Gray in the Digivolve materials, you gain an additional 3k. So your goal is to Digivolve it off of the Metal Gray. If you don't, well, you at least get the security plus, but if you do it right, you get an additional 3k that lasts till the end of your opponent's turn. So for those who think, oh, you did the Digivolve, he's weak, no, that 3k DP lasts until the end of your turn, which is why with the new tie in place, this card is actually really bonkers. And then lastly, I do not play Alteris modes, but I do play 2 copies of the Virus Metal Greymon X. He has the ability Digivolves for 1 on top of the Metal Gray, but then on Evo, he gains the protections of, and this is without needing the X pieces. So he gains protections from DP reduction as well as protection from Digivolve. Now, if you do have the X antibody in place, he can then delete something with 6k DP or less. This was actually a saving grace because I did fight Commandramon and a Machinedramon deck that with this, it actually helped me get out of them being able to kill me, and it actually halted his hand a bit, especially my Commandramon opponent, because he couldn't get rid of this, and he couldn't just burn his options, which then made all his choices harder for him, and it just does wonders. Tournament-wise, this is a good card because Shine Gray also can't do nothing to you when this is on the board, because now you're just like, I'm sitting here on this Evo, on the turn you did this Evo, he's just sitting there like, okay, so what are you going to do, Shine Gray? Because you can't get rid of him, and he's a blocker still. Then we're going into my Megas. The last piece, one of the last few Digimon pieces we got. We start off with, you know him and love him, 3 copies of the new BT12 Wargreymon. He is actually nuts. He is one of the best cards Wargreymon in general ever got. He has the on Digivolve ability to gain plus 3k DP and then reboot. That is really important because it works perfectly in tandem with the new tie, the 3-drop tie. Because once you go in your turn, you Digivolve into this, you swing with it a couple times. I'll explain how he swings in a couple times. You then he's a blocker, and then he's also having reboot. So now on your opponent's turn, he shows up and he's just nuts. And when I speak about reboot, I did forget one other skill. For the Metal Gray X, he does also have the inheritable where during your opponent's turn, if this or a Digimon unsuspends, when a Digimon unsuspends, if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So this also helps deal with decks that try to stall out fast. So you just play with this boy. This works really well with him. And he just says, okay, on my turn, I'm going to swing 2 times at minimum. At most, 1 per turn at minimum, except on first Evo, where then he is definitely hitting for two swings. And going for 2 swings. And then during your opponent's turn, he unsuspends. Now his unsuspend, that reboot is one way he unsuspends. His other way is he also is through the effect of raid. And what I mean by that is his raid ability, he has raid, and then he has the additional ability of once per turn during all players' turns, if the attack is redirected to another target, unsuspend this unit. AKA, while he becomes a blocker, if he says, okay, I'm going to block it, he unsuspends just because of blocking. Just because of him declaring block. So this guy becomes one of the best blockers in the game. He has never disappointed me. Raid with Raid just makes clearing boards a piece of cake, especially on his first turn he's on board. Ending on him on a turn 2 while you have enough protections is also really good. And I there's nothing negative. And speaking of protections, and I know I'm probably hopping around grades, I did forget to mention, but most everybody knows, he has the but Greymon X antibody, the virus one, does have the inheritable that if your Greymon or Omnimon would be bounced, tucked, or destroyed, just remove an X antibody from underneath it to trigger protection. That's the main reason people are mad, because people don't like this card. Because on top of the fact, also he's a Evo reducer, because if a Greymon Digivolves on top of him, reduce it by 1 for each color. The new Metal Gray is a double color, which means it Digivolves for 1 on Greymons. Then, and I know I had just hopped around because I have to go all the way back to our champions, guys, and I do apologize. I just forgot stuff because I am very energetic right now because this deck did wonders for me. Then back to the megas, I play 1 copy of the Black Wargreymon. He's primarily in here to help control tamers. So if need be, and I made this a blocker, he technically does the same thing as the Raid Wargrey, but in a different way of wording. He unsuspends when an opponent's Digimon is deleted. So once per turn, all turns, he does that. His on play is on Digivolve. I have a red, or if I have red and black tamers, red and black in the inheritables. He gets to delete up to 6 cost, both tamer and Digimon. Red targets Digimon, black targets tamers. But if you have both, which you should, because most of the higher end is double colored anyway, you only get target 1, but there is a double color for each level, so you should definitely see it double colored at some point. But you only play to 1. It's costly to Evo, but if you get it on board and it does his job, you've made a big mess for everybody. And then last but not least, out of my 6s, we play the other big threat when it comes to Greymon pieces, is the Black Wargreymon X. So he does have reboot. He has the ability once per turn during all players' turns. Once per turn during opponent's turn, not all players. If he would unsuspend, if a Digimon unsuspends, you may delete the lowest play cost, the lowest costing Digimon. And then on the other end, he has the inheritable where if you have a Black Wargreymon underneath, you may trigger redirect. What's that? I want to say it backwards. Yes, I'm saying backwards. So once per turn during opponent's turn, you may redirect highest play cost. That is always guaranteed. That is actually why this card is dangerous, because especially with the Blue Flare matchup, if this boy is on board and they are not able to touch his sources, this thing is going to literally sit there and tell you, I win, because you have to first deal with me at least once. As well as then his unsuspend kills the lowest play cost Digimon. So this could literally just go, oh, cool, you're the only Digimon on board, delete it, even if it didn't die. So if it didn't die from security, didn't die because I redirected it, I'm killing it off its unsuspend. Which Blue Flare definitely can do. Then, last but not least, I play 1 copy of the second version of Omnimon X Antibody. This one has the on Digivolve effect. I can choose to put on Digivolve, and let me make sure I give you all the right answers. So on Digivolve, I return all my opponent's Digimon with the highest level to the bottom of their deck. Not play cost, level. So if they're full of level 5s, you get rid of all of them. If their board is full of 5, all of them. Level 4s, all of them. Level 3s, all of them. That is a better control than just destroy one. Then he has the on Digivolve and on attack, where I may choose to put a level 6 or an X antibody from underneath him to the bottom of my deck, and then I can look at my opponent's security, and this is also during attack as well, where I can look at my opponent's security, trash one of them, and then proceed with the attack. Now, I play this over the Blitz because Digivolving this through mid-swing and your opponent only has one security left, this guarantees the hit, and it makes it a lot, and it's harder for them to block it. Definitely block this compared to just blocking a Blitz. As well as, especially if you're doing it on a, especially when you're doing it and there's nothing else you can do, and this kind of can shut people out incredibly fast, especially with the BT12 Wargrey. If it's on Evolution and him being a repetitive blocker is not worth it, you're still better off just going into the X. This card actually won me a game or two, won me some games, and I'm glad I played it because it was it was definitely set to be the face of the matchup. He's really good if you're playing against Blue Flare, because you just get rid of the piece and you don't have save because it's not deleting. Then into options, I play 2 copies of Hades Force. We all know what this does. It is nasty. I am so glad I was able to. This card just does work. I love it. For those who don't know, for 7-5, if you have an X antibody, you choose one of your Greymon on board. Then you destroy Tamers and Digimon up to the play cost of selected Greymon. Now, why that's important is you have this Greymon and these other 2 Greymons, and their power totals are way bigger in comparison. These are 12 and 13. That is hitting a lot of Tamers in conjunction. And why that's important is because after you've gone through your blow up of your opponent's resources, you then gain the ability to then go ahead and have your Greymon attack. Have a Greymon attack. So technically, if you combo this correctly with your hand, which I do a lot, you can go through your turn, do your setup. If, say, your Digimon has only one, you only can get one swing off, and it's the game changer swing, well, you can go ahead, do all your other stuff, give your opponent 4 to 5 based on where you are if you have the X antibody as well. Use this, destroy all their problematic pieces, even blockers, and then let your swing continue, and you have nothing to worry about. This will also trigger any on-attack skills, so you could even combo it together with, say, the Omni, Digivolving the Omni, which is extra memory to your opponent, but you've kind of shut them out after that point to keep their entire board clear about, and just have them almost start from 0. I run 2. Some people run it at 1, but I think 2 is the perfect number. You want a chance to see it in hand, if not, see it in the security, because it's a security effect that says kill the highest play cost. So if your opponent likes to do the rookie push first, then go for the big boy, well, Hades Force can definitely shut them out for making that life decision. Then lastly, for options, I run 3 copies of X Antibody. You know it, we love it. It's there because we need it. It helps to supplement if you don't get your full towers up, and that's about it. In security, it gives you a memory if they're hitting it and comes to hand. So you can and can't miss it. There's enough searchers in the deck for it. It's also just needed to help supplement, especially on your 6s count, especially like with Black War X. So I can still use all the abilities of my X Antibody without needing their original source. Now, lastly, I'm going to go into my Tamers. First up, I play 2 Yuya. Yuya is a memory tamer, but he is also he's also another protection for the deck. So by meaning his protection, he has the effect, if you Digivolve into a Greymon with him, I may suspend him and give that Greymon plus 2k, which is wonderful. More power for the Greymons, we like that. But he has the secondary part of that effect where, but if it Digivolved into the same, Digivolved in the same grade, you may give it protection from options. And that's why we play it. It's because of that option protection. So even it cancels out the other aspects that we can't deal with, such as with Mastermon and their option. But then overall, it just pulls completely over everything, especially if you can't get the Virus Metal Greymon X to help cover the Digivolve in general, but this can at least cancel out being affected from option cards and not Digimon. Then we play 3 copies of the 3-drop Black Tie. He has the on play and the beginning of main. Give one of your Digimon with Agumon or Greymon plus 1k DP and they gain blocker. Then he has the other ability is once per turn, if you Digivolve into a Greymon, suspend this to gain a memory. And that is just wonderful. Good card. He pseudo replaces Cool Boy in regards to the traditional full red variant, majority red variant, where you're not playing the Black War side. He definitely replaces Cool Boy there, but when you're playing Black War, you kind of need less of him to balance out 2 Cool Boys. And yes, they're gold. So Cool Boy actually saved me. He actually saved me a lot in this in these games. He is 2-drop. You know him, you love him. You on play, search top 3. Search top 3. And you are able to grab 1 card with the X antibody trait and the actual option X antibody. And if you were to Digivolve into an X antibody on top of a Digimon of the same grade, you may then suspend this, gain a memory, draw a card. Great resources. You virtually get all the cost for this card back in 2 turns, and then it just sits there and just keeps plussing you. I can see this card definitely in the future getting hit. I doubt it though if they're reprinting, they were printed new arts for it. I got 1 of each print right now, so I have 1 top 4. I have 1 of the top 4 printings and 1 of the participant printings. Tournament treated me well. I'm going to try to get another 2 of the participant printings at least to complete my play set of golds. However, if I don't, I don't. But this really worked out well. No complaints, honestly, for the deck. I would definitely keep it at 2. I think I might even use this count of Cool Boy in my Red Rush variant, because I still do run a bunch of the X Evos, and just helping on resourcing, getting resources is wonderful. And then last but not least, for the last tamer, 1 of the original red memory tamer ties. He has the on-turn ability of, if your red Digimon has 4 more evolution sources, it gains security attack +1. There's really nothing you can say negative to say about this card. It's highly good. I can play it for free off of the BT12 Greymon or the Metal Gray, BT12 Metal Gray, and then just have a memory tamer, and my Greymons are constantly going to be hitting for heavier. Wouldn't take it out. If I did, I probably would either add if I were to take it out, I would probably replace it with either a 4th copy of the BT12 tie, or just place it with another Cool Boy. Because I'd rather just have another tool for excess memory, if not for the security, because I don't really need you don't really need it, but it is helpful when you already have the security Greymon in place. So that is the deck list, guys. if I were to say the MVPs for this deck, for sure, I think we all could agree these were the two MVPs of the deck for me, being that they definitely kept me in the games. I actually played my first round. So for me, let's put it this way. Let me start from the top. My rounds went round 1. I got the bye round. We had 21 players, so I got the bye on my round 1, and so that made me feel good to start because I already pulled the Cool Boy, which is one of the sought after cards for the participant. Then following that, I got the bye, which was good. So round 1, I went in with a win. Round 2 for me was a matchup against Blue Flare, and just being able to say I have this blocker, I have these 2 blockers redirect. It was a nuisance because none of them were under the threshold of being stunned by the Metal Gray because they had bigger Evo source count than he did. Then round 3 for me was against Machinedramon. That ended up being a draw. And then after that, my final round was against Commandramon, and I took that 2-0. It was a fun turnout. I didn't fight against any Shine Grays. I was prepared for it, but nothing really came out of it. Right? I do want to shout out my good friend Wayne, one of my fellow team members on the Foundry. He helped me the night before he came over, and we just did that hard work, that hard grinding work of play testing and restructuring this deck so to be prepared for what was coming our way. We made sure to plan. Luckily for Greymon, planning ahead is not negative. So we altered the deck enough to where it was better placed to deal with decks that were set up to counter Shine Gray, as well as being built to counter Shine Gray. So we were able to play that middle ground where we're set for all situations. I was set to fight Shine Gray if needed, but that never came down to it. Never came to a Shine Gray. So I was happy. I took second. The first place player was also a Wargreymon player. So that was pretty cool. And that is actually going to be the deck list, guys. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys who are subscribed. Thank you guys who are not subscribed and still watch my videos. You guys are actually amazing. I would appreciate, though, if you aren't subscribed and you still watch my videos, please subscribe. Help the algorithm. Let them know that you guys are enjoying my content so that they can push it out more and we could get more done. Also, we're on that route. We're working towards our 500 subs. So I'm trying to push. I'm trying to make sure I get videos out there. If there's any type of video type you want to hear from me, let me know, and I'll work on making a video in that format. I do plan to have a video later this coming week for outside of my during my 3 videos a week session. I do plan to have a video talking about, for me, some of my favorite cards in Digimon, my top 5 favorite cards in Digimon. So, top 5, top 10. I'm still deciding how many I want to look at. But I'm doing my favorite cards in the Digimon TCG. And I'm going to have a video for that this week as well. Might have a fight in there this week, but it might be a dry week of no fights and actual different video type content. So, with that being said, once again, thank you. Once again, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. We did it, guys. Top 4, second place. You have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.